the grandson of right thought. Welcome to the School of Marvelous Light. So if you all have noticed, the stress levels, depression levels, let's sum it all up in this word, fear levels of the citizens of this nation known as America has risen to an all-time high. Their anxiety levels are rising exponentially at this time. Now, that's an effect of some cause. What do you all think the cause of this rise in fear, this rise of anxiety among the citizens of this nation? Why do you think that is? What has caused that? Well, if you consider Abba's word, think about the children of Israel. And think about when they were in a place called Egypt. And then I want you to think about the book of Revelation, where it says that there was a nation that was spiritually called Sodom in Egypt. Now I want you to think about the anxiety level of the Israelites during their time in Egypt. Think about Lot during his time in Sodom and his anxiety levels. We know he had anxiety because the Bible said they vexed his righteous soul every day with their filthy conversation. He was vexed, stressed because of the environment that he was in. Well, if you're living in Egypt, then you're going to feel like those Israelites felt when they were dwelling in Egypt. And what happened with their anxiety levels? They said they cried out to the Father because of the hard labor and the hard bondage that they were in. See? The furnace, they called it. The fire. See? Of hard labor. Now I want you to bring your mind to this current circumstance here in this nation. Are the people becoming anxious and fearful because of the hard labor? Is that the same cause that's causing the same effect and the feeling that the Israelites felt? They were put under hard labor and they cried out to the Father because of that. What do you see here? What do you see on TikTok? Do you see Americans coming out asking their fellow Americans, do you guys feel like I feel? How are y'all able to survive every day? Am I making this up or is this a reality? How are y'all able to sustain yourselves? Is this a question that Americans are asking each other? Are Americans complaining about the price of their groceries? Or are they pleased with the price of their groceries? Are Americans complaining about the price of everything? Or are they pleased with the price of everything around them? Now my question was there a time when the people were pleased with the price of things around them? Was there a time when that was the case? So what has changed? Well, when you build something that's not sustainable, which is something temporary, like I said in my last video, which is something vain, that's what happens when it starts to crumble and fall. Anxiety starts to rise. You see? Your anxiety goes up because you want to sustain something that's not actually sustainable. And so you work harder to sustain it. Think about a car. You buy a brand new car. Now, how often do you have to get maintenance done on this brand new car? Every so often you have to change the oil. Every so often you have to change or rotate the tires. Maybe buy a new set of tires every now and again. get a new battery, maybe. When your car is new and in good condition, the point is you don't have to work hard on it. But as it grows older, because it is a vain object, in other words, it's a temporal object, you see? So as it grows older, you have to do more work on it, correct? And then you have to do more work and more expensive labor, and things become more expensive. See how that goes? First, you have to spend much money to maintain your vehicle. But now you have to spend lots of money because you have to do things like drop a new engine in it. The transmission goes out, you got to spend thousands of dollars for that to get fixed. Then you blow a head gasket, you got to spend $1,000 dollars to get that straight. Things that's cost a whole lot of more money now for a car that ain't as good as it was. Same thing with America. You're having to spend more money for things that ain't as good as they used to be. All the houses used to be made of brick and mortar. They lasted a long time. You have houses right here around me that were built in 1900, year 1906, and stuff like this. Now houses built with the cheapest, easiest materials, siding all on it and everything. Hardly any bricks on the house and everything because it's cheaper. But it costs more than that house back when it was $3,900 for that house, 100 years ago. My, how have things changed in 100 years in the same place? Yeah, that's spiritually Egypt. You're having to work harder to maintain it, but it's older now. It's older now. See, y'all should have got the signal. Y'all of this nation should have got the signal. See, because this is a young nation. It's not old. This is a young nation. But how many problems has she had in her young life? She's had wars. She's had civil wars. She's had slavery. She's killed, stolen, robbed. All in her youth. She's done all of this. And y'all believe that something great is going to come out of that? That's the result of all of that? Abba said a house built upon blood. You see that? Unrighteous gain shall come to naught. So if y'all gain this nation with unrighteous means, then it will come to nothing. And now that it's coming to nothing, you're trying to fix it and put mortar up there and put it back in place and put the bricks back up. Abba says they shall rebuild, but I will tear it down. You see how America went through the Great Depression and they tried to rebuild it again, and then he tore it down again, and they tried to rebuild it again, and he's going to tear it down again? Every time the money gets funny, here comes war. And y'all act like y'all too sleepy to understand that. Every time the money gets funny, here comes war. Yeah, because you got to rob some more. You stole to get it, you got to keep stealing to keep it. Y'all don't know that? That's how it works. If you rob to get it, you got to keep stealing to keep it. So every time the money gets funny, you got to go to war. What's happening right now? Is there talk of war? Is there talk of war? They said, when is the end of this age? Yahushua said, when you hear of wars and rumors of wars. That's when you know it's getting near the end there. See? The car. That's when you know you're 250,000 miles. It's getting near the end there. Starts putting, starts making funny sounds. Hold on. So the car starts making noises. Thing get to jerking back and forth. You like, hold on, wait. You hit the gas to take off from the light. The thing shut off. You like, hold on now. Hold on now. This thing getting near the end here. Now, you can let it go. You can release that car and let it go and say, hey, it must be time to let this thing go. Or you can try to maintain it and keep it and force it. Keep building parts, keep adding things on, keep putting onto it, laboring and laboring. And before you're even done with the problem you're working on, a new problem arises. That's what's happening. And that's why you see the citizens or the workers of the car saying, this is not worth it. I'm here all day working on this car, and before I'm done with the transmission, the engine goes out. Then when I'm done with the engine, then the battery's messed up. Then I do that, and the fuel pump goes out. Then the brake lines burst. I'm constantly fixing something before I even can get it back on the road again. I can't even enjoy the car. See, I can't enjoy the American dream because I'm too busy working all day long trying to have the American dream. It's not real. That's why it's a dream. They didn't say the American reality. They said the American dream. They could have just said, hey, come and have part of the American reality. It's real here. But it was never real. So they said, come on and dream that it could be real. Because it damn sure won't be when you get here. But don't listen to that part. Don't read the fine print. Don't read the fine print. Read the big print. The American dream. That's right. Only in America, man. See? That's what they've sold to you to get you to come. That's what Egypt did. We got food, man. We got plenty of water. We got plenty of cities you can live in and apartments that you can rent out. We have all the good things that you could ever need. We even have Blue Lotus. You can drink some of that and feel good while you're here. We paint our faces up. We wear nice jewelry. We're very educated and smart. We're Egyptians. That's what we are. You see? And people came and ran there and they went. And as you see in the scriptures, that's what the Israelites did. Jacob and his children had to go there where they found their brother Joseph. And if y'all know the story, y'all know it. But that's how they got in Egypt. During a famine. See? So now, what do you do in time of famine? Well, if you don't have the words of Christ, then you don't know what to do. That's why you panic. See, when you don't know what to do, you panic. That's what Americans are going through. They don't know what to do to fix this. They don't know what to do. Inflation doesn't stop, and it doesn't taper off. It doesn't decrease. It just rises. It just keeps going. And as it's rising, it's rising with speed. And that's what causes distress. Oh! Yeah, I went to the grocery store. I spent $600. Now, wait a minute. I still got car insurance, health insurance. I still got rent. I still got to pay off an old debt from student loans. I got to go to the dentist tomorrow. Oh, shit. What am I going to do? That's what's happening to people. That's what's happening. Well, see, if you had Christ's words, you'd know what to do. And this is going to separate the sheep from the goats. That's all this means. It's going to separate the wheat from the tares, guys. The tare is earthy, but the wheat is spiritual. Do y'all hear that? So the earthy people need earthy things to live. And they depend on earthy things to live. In other words, that's what Egyptians do. They depend on earthly goods. But the spiritual man depends on spiritual food to feed him. That's why you see the Israelites being pulled out of Egypt, listen y'all, and eating spiritual bread called manna, which they called, what is this? That's what the word manna means. It means, what's this? What am I looking at? That's the food that they ate, correct? So this same God, the same spiritual rock that followed them, that pillar of fire, cloud, the water, is doing this now. And y'all think it's somehow different? Well, is he different? Or does he change not? What does he say? Is he the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow? Or does he change? What would you say? What you think? Okay, well, if he doesn't change, then if he did that for them, he's going to do the same thing for you. And he's doing it right now. This is how the separation occurs. Those who are not fearful, what does he say in Revelation? The fearful and unbelieving and the dogs and the sorcerers, they're going to be outside. They're not going to enter in. You say sorcerers? Yeah, pharmakia. Do you know the word pharmakia in the scriptures? It's how they deceive the people with their pharmakia, which means sorcery. Now, do you go to a pharmacy? Do you? Because you're stressed out? Because you're depressed? So you go to the sorcerers to give you something for your mind, as we were talking about yesterday? Because you're carnally minded. You need something carnal that you think will help you. The spiritual mind doesn't need a pill. The spiritual mind doesn't need a plate of food to feel safe. The spiritual mind doesn't need a bottle of water to feel filled. The spiritual mind doesn't need a hug to feel loved. The spiritual mind doesn't need sex to feel sensual. The spiritual mind doesn't need these things. Only the carnal mind does. And that's how we can separate the wheat from the tares. The carnal mind from the spiritual mind. That's all it means. The spiritual mind brings forth fruit. You see? Fruit. The carnal mind brings forth death. That's what a tare does. It brings forth death. Doesn't bring forth fruit. Now, you got some goats. You want to make a sweater out of that hair? Or do you want to go get you a lamb and use that wool and make a sweater? Which one you want to do? That's all I'm saying to you. It's about those two worlds. And what's going to determine how you respond to this stress that you're in is who you're listening to. Just like Moses had to do in his time. He heard a word that he clave to versus all the stuff that's going on around him. All the stuff that's going on around him. He's heeding to the voice. Well, my sheep hear my voice. See, the sheep hear it. Not his goats. His sheep hear his voice and they follow him. So when Christ came to save, what did he do? He came to certain men and he said, stop your occupation and come follow me. And I'm going to give you a new occupation. So why is it different today? I'm bearing witness that he did the same thing for me. I was at an occupation and he tapped me on my shoulder and he said, come follow me. And I did. And a whole bunch of people told me that's crazy to do that. Don't leave. You have a wife, you have children, you have family, you have responsibilities, you have a house, you have cars, and all the things that Egyptians and Gentiles chase after. You see? But he says, be ye not like unto them. And so I was not. And I gave those things up because he said, any man who gives up his father, mother, house, cars, clothes, children, for my sake will get 100-fold in this life and in the next. So I believe him, so I do it. Because I hear it. And see, he's going to give you promises if you're hearing his voice, just like he did for all of his servants. And one thing that he promised me was that I give you my grace. Now I want you to hear that, Israel, so that you can eat on that and sup on that. He told me, I give you my grace. Now, do I walk as if he has? Or am I living a lie? Am I living a fearful life? Am I a doubtful man? Am I skeptical? Because then that would disprove what I heard. But to prove that what I heard is what I heard, I live like I have grace given to me. So I don't fear. I don't take thought of the things he tells me not to take thought of because the grace has been given to me by the word that I heard in my ear. See? My sheep hear my voice. He spoke to me and said, I give you my grace. So then who am I to doubt that? Who am I to now become skeptical that I have been given it and start to say, well, no, this situation scares me. So then he really didn't give me his grace that he said he gave me. Because if he did, I wouldn't be scared right now. That's not how it works. It works like this. A circumstance comes up to me and then I say, guys, don't you know that I've already been given his grace? Don't you know that? So no matter what you try to do today, I'm going to come out being carried by the wings of grace. That's what it is. So then do whatever you think you want to try to do. That's my attitude. That's my attitude. That's called giving your life up for Christ's sake. I gave you my grace. You did? Oh, well then, nothing can befall me. Nothing can. All you require in exchange is that I follow you, which means give up my former life. That's all that is required, is for you to give up the vain things of your life. You think that he's asking for something that's hard for you to release from. It's not. You are under an illusion and you believe it, just like these Americans believe that dream that's got them working hard. It's the same thing you're doing. Same thing you're doing. He said, I come to give you rest. Stress and rest ain't the same thing, y'all. They sound similar. They got the same letters in it, but they're in a different order. You see? If I come to give you rest, then what you stress for? They don't go together. Why are you depressed? Why are you running to sorcery for your depression? If I come to give you rest, well, you must not be mine. Or you must maybe be mine and just ain't listening to me. That's the only thing it could be. Y'all see? Y'all see? Like I said, the word, I give you my grace, cancels me out of judgment. So then I'm free of judgment. Now, what does the scripture say to prove this, what I'm telling you about my life? There is now no condemnation to those who be in Christ. See how it connects? Like Legos? It doesn't have a struggle. It's the same thing. There is no condemnation. Now here the grandson is saying, he gave me, but through his word, his promise of grace for my life. That's what he said. I give you my grace. Well, then why would I have fear? Why would I have doubt? It means I don't believe the word that I heard. But if I do believe the word that I heard, then I got to walk like I believe it. Because he says, don't just be a hearer of the word, but be a doer of it. Show forth grace in your life so that people can get out of these false ideas of bondage that they're in. I have to have this in order to win. It's all 3D. I have to dress like this in order to be pleasing to God. I can't put an earring in my ear because God will be displeased if I do that. I have to wear this kind of clothing and then God will be pleased with me. I have to wear my hair like this and God will be pleased with me. I have to do this and do that and do this and do this and do this and then God will be pleased with me. Well, then I didn't believe him when he said, I give you my grace then. When I was filthy, he said that to me. When I was yet an enemy to him, he said that to me. When I was running the other way, he said that to me. So now I'm going to be running this way. Now I have received his grace. You're making him out to be a liar. He gives grace to those who require it. And you need grace when you've fallen. That's what lifts you from your fallen state of feeling disconnected from Christ. That's why if you're in Christ, there is no condemnation. But if you're outside of Christ, you feel condemned about the things you've done. You're not free. You have not rest. You're going to labor to try to get into the kingdom and sought it not by faith, like the scripture says, but they sought it by the works of the law, doing things in the temporary world that are temporary to serve an eternal God. How can you serve an eternal God doing temporal things? That's not worshiping him in spirit and in truth, is it? A spiritual God is eternal, and yet you're doing temporary things to serve an eternal God. That's not worshiping him in spirit and in truth. The spirit is eternal, truth is eternal, then you must do eternal things to please him. You see that? So the thing that Abraham did is the same thing you have to do. Within that same doing, the thing that y'all are doing is eternal then. If Abraham did it way then, and now you're required that as his child that you follow likewise and do the same thing, well then that thing is what's eternal. And what is that thing? Faith is. So when the Son of Man returns, shall he find faith on the earth? Shall he find one walking and believing him? Walking in that grace that he's been given? Not panicking like the rest of those Americans around him when he is in what's considered the worst city in America, Detroit? If you ask people, what is the worst city in America? They will say Detroit. Yet they've never been there. Most of those people have never even been to Detroit. But that is the psyche. Now, who made this psyche? Who made the psychology of the people of this nation believe this about this city? The very city that Branch is walking in right now, delivering this message to you. Because just as it is written, nothing good has ever come out of Nazareth. Couldn't be. Nothing good ever came out of Detroit. It's the worst city. It's the filthiest city. Then it seems like that's what Abba would use to place his light there. As it is this day. Nothing changes. He doesn't change. Where do you think the children of Israel are at? In a wonderful, beautiful place or in a strange land? captive, scattered. What do you think? So, time to be regathered. Well, if you're time to be regathered, then that means there's been some hard labor going on and something that's not sustainable. Plagues hit Egypt, plagues is hitting America because America is Egypt. It's called that. That's what it's called. You can try to make other names, just like they tried to do with you, Israel, giving you other names. They gave everything other names to try to deceive, to try to fool. The truth is forever and eternal, though. Lies are only temporary. So when the lie is going and the truth is hidden, the truth just waits. Love is patient, see? The truth just waits. Doesn't matter how long you lie. It's very patient, and it will wait, and it's more patient than you think. And it will wait until the lie dies. And as soon as it dies, it surfaces. Hello, here I am. And all those people that ran from the truth are now in horror and mourning. And that's why in Revelation, you see them mourn. You don't see them celebrate his return. You don't see them celebrate the return of Christ. You see them mourn. And that's why. They didn't listen to him. They didn't do what he said do. So you think it's strange that at this hour, here I am asking you guys to be real and really do what he says do? To show yourself approved, that you are a workman, that you are heeding to his voice? Because let us not love in word and in tongue, but in deed and in truth. You have to do something. You can talk all day with nice flowery words because that's what the enemy does. He speaks nice, smooth words to entice you. His words were smoother than oil, like butter, but war was in his heart. You see that? The true intention. That's what's being exposed now, the true intents of the heart. So where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Where is your heart today? Shalom, Israel.